The planet we live on is just a tiny part of the universe. The space above us is vast and mysterious. The dark ocean below us remains largely unknown. Today, the exploration and development of space and the ocean have become important parts of the competition between the great powers. It is a sign of national strength and an opportunity for the future. On clear nights, these telescopes in Xinglong Mountain in Hebei province open up to receive light and information from the universe. Named after Guo Shoujing, a Chinese astronomer from ancient times, this spectroscopic telescope boasts the largest aperture in the world. In each exposure, it can receive light from 4,000 heavenly bodies. The universe is filled with mysteries. Where did we come from? Where are we going? Are there other planets where life exists? Even in ancient times, a burning curiosity pushed human beings to explore these questions and to embrace the untouched depths of space. Today, the only thing that can overcome gravity and take us into space is the thrust of a rocket. The distance a rocket can go mainly depends on its engine, which is like its heart. In the ancient city of Xi'an, China's most advanced rocket engine is currently being built. This rocket engine has a thrust of 120 tons and is fueled by efficient and clean liquid oxygen. It can take an 80-ton object to the top of Mount Komolangma in under 70 seconds. To date, only Russia and China have mastered its core technology.
在我们国内是全新的，在国际上也是最先进的循环方案。它整个发动机的系统效率要提高15%以上，相同的这个燃料的话，发出的推力就更大。
In order to give the engine greater thrust and efficiency, Chen Jianhua's team has to overcome many problems.
非常关键的验证，所以在高温下验证时，你刚好把它实际情况给验证。
One of the main difficulties is ensuring that the turbo pump runs steadily. Massive pressure is generated when this core component is in operation.
高压下如果就是裂开了或者泄漏了，那出的问题都是灾难性的。
That amount of pressure can pump water from the Huangpu River to the Qinghai Tibet Plateau at 5,000 meters above sea level. In order to achieve this result, the speed of the centrifugal wheel has to reach almost 20,000 revolutions per minute, generating enormous centrifugal force. The slightest technical defect will tear the wheel to pieces, or even cause an explosion.
强度条件要求，那必须非常可靠，绝对不会出现这种就是泄漏啊，出现这个断裂呀这种情况。
After working hard for 17 years to produce this advanced rocket engine, the team decide to aim for a higher goal. The team are all busy making preparations for a new test that will be carried out on the engine in a few days. The results of this groundbreaking test will be applied to future rocket engines. With this design, the rocket engine's thrust will be raised to 500 tons. If they succeed in this attempt, The carrying capacity of China's aerospace craft will increase fivefold, marking a major breakthrough in China's space exploration efforts.
它不仅仅是推力增高了，这是研制难度、技术风险大幅增加。因为火箭发动机啊本身就是一个能量密度非常集中的这么一个动力装置，是所有动力装置中能量密度最大的一种动力装置。
As the chief designer of this rocket engine, Li Bin has great expectations for this test. The team are looking to verify the feasibility of a key technology. The engine constantly shakes after it's launched. Like the steering wheel of the car, it adjusts the angle of the jet to control the direction of the rocket. However, as the thrust of the engine increases, its volume and weight will also increase, making it harder to swing. The way to solve this problem is to change the overall swinging mode, allowing only part of the engine to swing.
如果这个技术突破以后，明天试验如果取得成功，研究新型发动机用这个技术，就是所有的难路虎全部扫过。
Zhen Jianhua and Li Bin have worked on this task for 2 years. The engine is now in place, and the staff are carrying out final tests.
这个任务背后是国家的一个重大工程，有多少人参与？我们有一点点闪失，那的损失就是不可估量的。
With the test about to start, the atmosphere in the control center starts to get tense. The test launch only takes a few dozen seconds. But if there is a fault in any of the component or the technology, it may fail to stop. In extreme cases, it may even explode.
Today, 今天非常好，今天这个因为这是一个开创性的嘛，能够坚持下来，关机很完美，试车过程参数很稳定。
Technical problems in heavy rocket engine design are being gradually overcome. These constant improvements will take the Chinese people to ever more distant parts of the universe. The moon is something that is both familiar and strange to man, with many secrets waiting to be unlocked.
带着中国人半月梦想的嫦娥1号卫星今天成功实现了
嫦娥3号探测器成功地实施了月面软着陆，玉兔号将被驶离着陆器，开始为期大约3个月的科学。
China's lunar exploration program has been carrying out moon orbits and lunar soft landings since 2004. Its next goal is to gather samples from the moon's surface and collect lunar soil. The soil will be brought to Earth using a variety of complicated technologies. Every step is a challenge and marks a new phase in China's space industry. Here at the China Academy of Space Technology in Beijing, Engineers are developing the Chang'e-5 lunar probe, a major part of China's lunar exploration program.
几个嘛，钻进取芯故障应该就可以了，是吧？对。
Lai Xiaoming's team is responsible for the lunar drilling and sampling tests.
我们要去月球取回我们的样品回来，我们在钻进过程中就是一个勘探的过程。
In order to make sure the lunar drilling and sampling is successful, Lai Xiaoming's team have been carrying out experiments for 6 years. The moon is 380,000 kilometers away from Earth and has a large diurnal temperature difference. Places hit by direct sunlight reach as high as 127 degrees Celsius, while at night it can drop to minus 183 degrees Celsius. Any machine operating in this kind of extreme environment faces a severe challenge.
真空的环境下，我们散热条件是非常差的。我们要考虑它的这个热胀冷缩，考虑它的这个运动的这个磨损，要突破它的一个空间环境的一个适应性。
But the extreme environment is not the biggest challenge they face.
月面实在太大了，困难的就是不可预测。它在采样的过程中会遇到多大的石块，这些情况呢我们不了解。最难的有可能一上去了就碰到一块大的岩石，这个情况下我们能不能取到样，有可能出现的情况在地面上我们就要验证它。
There are rock fragments of all types of sizes in the lunar soil, and the sampler will face an uncertain situation during the operation. In order to prepare the sampler for the moon's complex working conditions, Lai Xiaoming's team selects dozens of geological samples to simulate lunar soil. This kind of test has been conducted over 300 times.
现在预编程的空载滑行阶段已经开始了。
预变成指令发出。
Various rock samples are placed in this metal tank, which is over 5 meters long. The test is carried out repeatedly to check how the sampler reacts when it encounters different types of resistance. The team have to make this process as reliable as possible. Lunar drilling and sampling is only part of a lunar expedition. After the ascender carrying the lunar soil is launched, another critical moment arrives. Because there is not enough fuel for the ascender to return to Earth, it has to be docked with the orbiter and transfer the lunar soil to the return capsule. This will eventually bring the samples back to Earth. They only have 3.5 hours to complete the rendezvous and docking. The slightest fault will lead to the whole project ending in failure.
这是我们首次在月球轨道进行交会对接，这是一个全新的一个任务。
A new goal brings new challenges. Zheng Yongjie's team prepare to start the rendezvous and docking test. Doing this in lunar orbit means that many difficulties have to be overcome.
这个交会对接呢，在月球轨道进行，距地面比较远，所以呢，地面干预的那个手段很有限，这也是为我们交会对接这个控制系统的设计带来很大的那个困难。所以我们的新上的系统是全自主运行。
As the navigation and orbit systems on Earth can only provide limited help for the rendezvous and docking, this process will be completed by the Chang'e-5 lunar probe itself. In effect, Zheng Yongjie's team have to create a brain and 2 eyes for Chang'e-5 lunar probe.
因为全自主的运行的话，就需要对新上的测量敏感器进行智能化的一个管理。所有新上的敏感器自主运行、自主诊断错误。
If the lunar probe has sharp eyes that can provide valuable information, the Chang'e-5's brain will be able to control the probe autonomously. The sharp eyes are the measurement star sensor, which has to be able to guarantee the success of the rendezvous and docking. In order to ensure it runs smoothly, Zheng Yongjie's team give the eyes an upgrade. Today's test aims to verify that this solution is feasible.
在距离5米。
To date, only 12 people in the world have set foot on this desolate and mysterious surface. However, the extreme depth of our own planet are even less traveled. The ocean is the origin of life. Without it, our home wouldn't exist. But we know little about this world, especially what lies over 6,000 meters below the surface. In 2012, Cui Weicheng, deputy chief designer of the Jiaolong manned submersible, and Ye Cong, its chief pilot, set off on an unprecedented journey. They took the Jiaolong into the Mariana Trench, the deepest point in the world's oceans. A dive into the deep sea means entering a world of darkness. At these depths, oceanauts can only see a few meters in front of them, just as if they were driving at night. The diving process has been likened to taking an elevator. In this crowded space, surrounded by darkness, any alarm can create a lot of tension.
一开始就是很荒芜的，像沙漠一样，白白的沙子，好像什么都没有。你跑了很长的距离，可能会遇到一条鱼，他也觉得你很奇怪，他也不害怕。
At a depth of over 2,000 meters, there are almost no giant creatures, only small, strangely shaped ones.
航行了大概1公里左右，你从这个地方看到的，过一会儿可能又不一样了，过一会儿又不一样。它实际上就是这个1公里左右的距离，它的变化还是蛮大的。现在来说，我们对海洋了解的太少了。
报告指挥部，蛟龙号
成功下潜到马里亚纳海沟7020米深度。
In June 2012, after 6 dives, the Jiaolong completed a 7,000-meter manned submergence and brought back a rich collection of samples from the deep sea. The Jiaolong returned to its mothership after setting a new manned submergence world record. But this was not the end of the endeavor. After achieving their goal of diving 7,000 meters, Cui Weicheng and Ye Cong began to focus on new research. Ye Cong then devoted himself to the research and development of China's second manned submersible, the Shanghai Yongshi, or Deep Sea Warrior.
深海勇士这个潜器呢，它是一个作业效果很好的一个潜器，从技术上、从设计上、国产部件的这个选择上。 比以前的条件好很多了。
Over 95% of the Deep Sea Warrior's components are made in China, and many key parts were independently developed by China. This marked a historic leap, showing the country was able to independently innovate deep-sea equipment.
目前温度有多少？舱内目前温度27.7度。
The test in the tank is the last step that has to be taken before the deep-sea warrior makes its ocean dive. Once in the tank, it will have to complete all the designated steps for a deep-sea operation. All indicators inside and outside the cabin have to be carefully monitored. Everyone is waiting for the test results. After several dives, ascents, and underwater operation tests, the submersible finally emerges from the water.
一个好的潜器，你去研制它，去试验它，它有很多的这个点点滴滴，但是试验只是开始。
In October 2017, the Deep-Sea Warrior went to the South China Sea. After carrying out 28 intensive dives, the submersible eventually completed a 4,500-meter manned dive and returned to Sanya.
有了蛟龙号的基础，特别是有了现在深海永志号试验体现出来它的这种性能，我们更有信心去实现全海深载人潜水器可以下潜到地球上最深点的目标。
China has already launched its 11,000-meter manned deep-sea dive project. For Yezhong, the future is just beginning. Cui Weicheng, who has met the challenge of a 7,000-meter deep-sea dive, is also striving for this goal.
事业现在开始。
In 2016, he led a team from the Shanghai Ocean University in breaking successive submergence records. They brought back a large number of rare deep-sea species from the Mariana Trench. For the team, the success of the dive was a massive boost of confidence.
过去的10年，我有了一个机会做蛟龙号。未来的10年，我希望把我们国家的载人深潜技术领到国际的领先。真正一个创新者，他就永远不要重复自己。
长征3号已运载火箭成功发射中国北斗3号第1颗和第2颗组网卫星，北斗卫星导航系统全球组网正式开启。
New Beidou satellites have been successfully sent into orbit. In the future, when the navigation network is completed, Beidou will achieve its goal of global navigation and breaking a decades-old monopoly. Very early on, Chinese aerospace researchers decided to rely on themselves to make breakthroughs and create opportunities. The country's main carrier rocket was aptly named Long March. After decades of constant development, China has become one of the few countries with deep space exploration capabilities. Now, Chinese aerospace researchers are putting all their efforts into building a new home in space for scientists from around the world.
现在这个支架都已经镂空掏了不少了哈。
Tianjin Aviation Town is the largest spacecraft assembly and test center in the world. The plant is 60 meters high and was built to facilitate the space station plan. A variety of tests are currently being carried out here.
空间站呢，是我们目前在研型号当中系统最复杂，应该说技术难度最大的一个航天器。
In 1992, Yang Hong entered the space industry. That year, China put forward a plan for a manned space program. However, at that time, China did not have the ability to send astronauts into space.
第一步呢，是我们载人飞船阶段。当时我们的目标非常明确，能把航天员安全地送上天，再安全地接回来。
At that time, for some countries, manned spaceflight was not a difficult technology. The International Space Station that's now in operation was launched in 1993. It was developed by 16 countries, but China was not included. As a result, Yang Hong and his team had to start from the very beginning to gradually achieve their goal.
我们载人航天的话呢，可以说国际上有些项目是不带我们玩的，那么我们只有一个办法，那只有靠我们独立自主，靠自己的力量，也就是说只有一条路，只有靠创新。
德国自行研制的神舟5号载人飞船发射成功。
11 years passed from the launch of the space station program to putting China's first astronaut Yang Liwei into space. After that, things sped up significantly. In 2008, astronaut Zhai Zhigang became the first Chinese to step into space. In 2017, China's first cargo spacecraft, the Tianzhou-1, was launched. By then, China had made breakthroughs in a series of key technologies in its manned space project and was ready to build a space station.
原来说神舟飞船是一个狭小的空间，到了天宫的话呢，就是一个1室1厅了；到了空间站呢，就变成了3室1厅了、5室1厅了。里面的空间要比原来的天宫空间实验室要大得很多。
China's space station will include a core module and 2 lab modules. These modules have to be docked into a single unit in space. It will face weightlessness, radiation, and other unexpected challenges. Even ordinary sunlight can become a problem. Lu Chunqing's team is conducting an anti-glare interference test. Sunlight in space is 5 to 10 times stronger than on Earth. Interference from strong light is an unavoidable problem that occurs when space station modules dock with each other.
在宇宙中，太阳有可能从各个方向直射需要对接的空间站的舱段。我们做这个实验的目的，就是为了分析太阳直射的这个条件下，它对于我们的对接有什么影响。
At the testing ground, technicians monitor the sunrise and sunset each day.
太阳高度只要50度。
They constantly adjust the angle according to the solar altitude in order to simulate the various conditions that the space station may experience.
现在转台再往正方向转一下。好的，收到。
Lu Chunqing's team continue carrying out tests. As they are starting from scratch, Chinese aerospace researchers have to work hard to make even the smallest achievement. In 2 days, the core module of the space station will complete a docking. Zhang Wei will conduct several tests to ensure that the space station can be repaired under any circumstances. While in orbit, the spacecraft will age with the passage of time. The International Space Station has broken down many times and undergone countless repairs. Maintaining the spacecraft requires the astronaut to go out of the module. Only a suitable design will ensure that the astronaut can complete the task within the limited time.
今天要做的这个验证呢，是舱外的一台产品，需要航天员出舱行走。出舱航天服对人的这个能力是有很大的限制的。首先它比较笨重，再一个它冲压以后，它的灵活度也会下降。
In order to simulate an astronaut's working conditions in space, the staff put on the spacesuit gloves to do the test.
那手柄的位置靠得比较近，我估计手套冲压以后就塞不进去了。反正这下边压的是6颗钉，看看具不具备这个拆的能力。打个比喻的话，有点像是，一个人在开着飞机的时候要去修飞机，我在修的时候呢，不能让这个飞机停下来。空间站不工作呢，就会里面的各种生命保障系统就会出问题，跟地面的各种通讯就会出问题。所以呢，你必须要给它设计的非常的好，它才能好修。
Every detail of the design is repeatedly tested in order to get the optimal solution at the minimum cost. The docking of the space station's core module has begun. They are now one step closer to completing the space station.
我们做的事情都是开创性的，直面列关键技术，一个一个的突破。越是别人封锁的，我们也许越是能够自己干出来。某种程度上来讲的话呢，国外对我们的技术封锁，反倒是成就了我们自己的创新。
The International Space Station currently in operation is expected to be retired in 2024. By then, China will become the only country with a space station. However, this is not the end of the dream. Plans are underway to establish a base in outer space, possibly for migrating to Mars. This simulated Mars base lays the foundation for building a home in space. It is being developed by the Space Institute of Southern China, Shenzhen.
我们这个实验呢，就是为了将来人能够在地球以外的家园上长期驻留生存所提供的和人的生命安全有关的技术。
It's a magical process. Different lighting effects are created in the cabin according to the plant's needs. The plants go through photosynthesis, absorb carbon dioxide, release oxygen, and transpire water. This is a mini version of the Earth's ecosphere. If we can make this a reality, human beings can become self-sufficient in outer space, an environment that is essentially hostile to our existence. In June 2016, volunteers began a 180-day test in a sealed space capsule. They were separated from the outside world and survived only on the circulation system inside the capsule.
从我们人进舱开始，它呼吸的每一口气体都是通过自循环产生的。新鲜的蔬菜果蔬全部都是舱内供应，那么所有的水呢都是在舱里边循环的。
我是洞4，舱内唯一的女成员。
这个是今天中午我们做的面条，是舱内的一个农民。大家看，我们舱内的这些光源都是符合植物生长的光源。
At the same time, in the Tiangong 2 space lab nearly 400 kilometers from the ground, astronauts Jing Haipeng and Chen Dong are conducting their own experiments. On October 24th, Jing Haipeng will celebrate his 50th birthday. Volunteers on the ground send their best wishes by video.
祝景大高50大寿生日快乐！祝您生日快乐！
视频我都收到了，看到你们的状态，非常好。我和陈东也非常高兴，告诉你们小秘密。我们在天上这次也种植物了，展示一下啊。虽然是一个小芽，但一定是中国人的一大步。中国人在太空种菜。
After the 180-day test, the 4 volunteers leave the capsule, having gathered valuable experience for human beings seeking to explore space. In the South China Sea, a new expedition is underway.
49497关闭成功状态数值。
At the Pilot National Laboratory for Marine Science and Technology, scientists put together a scientific expedition team that is about to carry out a large-scale marine observation task. More than 30 sets of marine sensors independently developed by China are placed in the atmosphere, on the sea surface, and 4,200 meters underwater, forming a multidimensional observation network. The Haiyan underwater glider is an important part of the observation process. The data it collects will be sent by wireless signal transmitting device to Qingdao, 2,000 kilometers away.
还有它的姿态的调节，还有纬度的摆动，还有它的滑翔姿态之间的相互关系。
Professor Wang Yang from Tianjin University and his team are the developers of the Haiyan.
海燕滑翔机呢，就跟潜艇一样，可以上升和下潜。在上升下潜的过程中，借助它的固定的水平翼的水动力，可以实现它的这种水下滑翔。
The Haiyan can glide 1,500 meters underwater. Because of its small size and ability to cruise for nearly 1,000 kilometers, the glider can travel for long periods. At the same time, it is equipped with a variety of acoustic and optical instruments that allow it to carry out extensive exploration in the sea.
其实这种技术，国外对我们一直是限制、严格的限售、限运、技术封锁。如果一味的去追踪国外、跟踪他们的话，在海洋研究上、海洋的经济上都不会超过他们。所以我们必须要弯道超车，我们必须要自己来创新。
After 10 years of research, Wang Yanhui's team relocated the Haiyan project to the National Laboratory for Marine Science and Technology, the highest marine science research institute in China. Over 2,000 domestic and foreign marine scientists and more than 10 research ships here are engaging in the most cutting-edge scientific research in this field. In order to unlock the ocean's secrets, scientists work on a three-dimensional network observation project that is unprecedented in terms of sea area coverage, duration, and amount of equipment used. On August 20th, 2017, after completing its scientific research in the South China Sea, Haiyan makes its return.
台湾东南部洋面的热带低压已经于昨天下午加强为今年的第13号台风。
Right now, 50 nautical miles north of the typhoon center, 5 Haiyan gliders are carrying out scientific research tasks. Should they leave before the typhoon comes or enter the storm center to get more accurate data? Wang Yanhui is in a dilemma. Because of the lack of observation data, accurately forecasting typhoons is a huge challenge worldwide. If the Haiyan gliders enter the typhoon center to get information, they could be damaged or even lost.
目前针对于台风的观测，使用水下滑翔机做台风现场观测，在国际上目前都没有人敢做这个测量。那么海洋科学家他是很迫切的需要这个现场数据，所以他们鼓励我说：“你们去探测，你们去试，你们不试永远不知道行还是不行。”
At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in the South China Sea, Haiyan 1 arrives at the designated area and waits. The other 4 Haiyan gliders head to the predicted typhoon center. A network to capture data on Typhoon Hato has been created. Meanwhile, the typhoon is coming in at a speed of 25 kilometers per hour.
我们把每台滑翔机呢相距是50到100公里，分别布置了这么5台滑翔机。从当天的晚上，比如8点路过第一个滑翔机，那么第二个滑翔机呢就已经在50公里以外，在等这个台风过去。那么在台风路过第2台滑翔机以后呢，第3台滑翔机就已经到位，那么来迎接它在过境。
中央气象台21号傍晚将台风蓝色预警升级为黄色预警。
目前天科已经加强为了强台风级中心附近最大风力。
It is a tortuous night. The information from Haiyan comes in stops and starts.
有2台滑翔机，我清楚的记得啊，应该是在3小时的时候能够出水通讯。那么我们苦苦的等哈，结果它没有任何的信息。正常出现应该是凌晨的1点钟，它应该是要出现，第一个泡面要出现了，结果它没有，这是跟自己的孩子丢掉似的那种感觉，真的是，这个我可能语言可能没法来描述。
目前天歌中继续向西偏北方向移动，预计它在近海强度呢将持续加强。 可能在明天白天以台风。
Finally, the typhoon left the South China Sea, and Wang Yanhui got some good news. The Haiyan gliders returned to base with data after battling with the typhoon for over 20 hours.
我心里就真的是松了一口气，我知道啊，我们这些海燕滑翔机真正的是经历了一次洗礼，真正的是在台风这种恶劣的海况情况下，它真正的生存下来了，而且是咱们国家第一次的这种尝试。
As more information and data is gathered in the National Laboratory, the ocean will become less of a mystery for future researchers. the high-end gliders prepare to set off again, seeking to go deeper and farther than they have ever gone before. Together with other scientific research teams from the National Laboratory, they continue to piece together the puzzle that is the ocean. Thousands of satellites of all shapes and sizes orbit our planet. Most of them are very large and weigh thousands of kilograms. But there are also newer members of this community, which are much smaller. They are called microsatellites. This company specializes in designing and making microsatellites. Its chief scientist is Wang Yang. His team is making a satellite that weighs only 100 kilograms. Their objective is to set up a constellation called Xiangyuan, composed of a number of microsatellites. After enough satellites have been launched into space, they will be able to form a space network covering the Earth.
我们可以把它想象成为是一个 WiFi， 放在天空中的 WiFi。如果这个卫星网络建成的话呢，在整个地球表面99.99%都会提供网络信号。
With its low development costs and high speeds, microsatellites have bright commercial prospects.
商业卫星是一个纯增量市场，明年的年末具备有9颗星在轨。
Due to their short lifespan, microsatellites must be intensively launched into space in a short period of time. This requires the carrier rocket to have the ability to rapidly launch satellites. Zheng Di is the president of X-Space Technology Corporation. Today, at the International Commercial Space Summit in Wuhan, his company will brief experts from more than 20 countries on the company's new type of rocket, Kuaizhou. In January 2017, one single Kuaizhou carrier rocket carried 3 satellites into space, allowing the company to edge into the international commercial space market. In recent years, the rocket company that has caught the most attention in this field has been SpaceX from the United States. Its competitive prices and high speeds have won it contracts globally. By 2017, it had carried out the most rocket launches in the world.
我记得前一阵，SpaceX 它在48小时之内，它连续发射2次，其实它证明了它的快速发射能力。而我们可能要打破它这个记录，就是在7天内连续发射4枚火箭。
The company has shortened the preparation time for launching a rocket from several months to just a few days. The price of a launch is now as low as $10,000 per kilogram, which is very cheap in the global market. This makes the Kuaizhou rocket the best option for Wang Yang's team. They plan to use one Kuaizhou rocket to launch 9 microsatellites into orbit at the end of 2018. The Kuaizhou rocket that will carry the satellites has been assembled and is now undergoing final function tests. After the tests are completed, it will wait for the arrival of the 9 microsatellites. China's commercial aerospace industry is entering a new era. Competition is pushing companies to constantly innovate their products and upgrade their technology. The market is unleashing a new wave of vigor and creativity, and prompting China to make rapid progress in cutting-edge fields. This is the largest offshore drilling platform in the world. The upper hull weighs over 18,000 tons and is being hoisted and joined with the lower hull. This is the Blue Whale 1 drilling platform. It is 37 stories high from the bottom of the ship to the top of the rig. Its deck is as large as a football field. Its maximum drilling depth exceeds that of the Mariana Trench. The body of Blue Whale 1 is strong and solid enough to resist violent storms and pounding waves. Its internal components work with the precision of a clock. Tens of thousands of devices work together. If the pipelines were placed end to end, their total length would extend from Shanghai to Beijing. Each line plays a role in allowing Blue Whale 1 to successfully operate under the sea. Innovation is not only about reform, but also the spirit of craftsmanship. Blue Whale 1 represents the highest level of marine engineering in the world. It can exploit oil and gas in any area under the sea. In May 2017, it set off for the South China Sea, starting its trial exploitation of solid natural gas. Blue Whale 1 has been in operation for 60 days. The amount of natural gas it mined set a world record. When we set off in pursuit of our dreams, we long for the moment of success. But before that moment comes, we must embark on a journey that is filled with failures and risks. In an era of rapid development, China is embracing unprecedented opportunities. Its people are confident in the face of unknown challenges that may occur on the way. The future belongs to pioneers. The century belongs to innovators.